It, man. Well, we're here. We're back. We're ready to do another one. I think we got a good topic today that you came up with again.
Yep.
Go ahead and share if you want.
Yeah.
Kind of what we're thinking today.
Yeah. So Alex and I tried to change it up a little bit from what we've done recently.
Yes.
And today we're just gonna give relationship advice.
That's right. Yep. Both of us have been in long-standing relationships. No, yeah, I'm the last guy you want coming to relationship advice. Steve could probably give you some good stuff, but
I'm just thinking of all the people that, like these videos, these like longer podcasts of ours get like 20, 30, 40 views.
yeah.
And like how many of those 20 people just like exit, like next
Yeah.
video.
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
Relationship advice.
Yeah, no.
No, actually, things athletes get wrong about training. Things athletes, just get wrong about the training process and don't take into consideration.
Yeah, and I think there's this could be a long video if we really wanted it to be. You know, I was putting together just kind of this list here of just kind of thoughts. I probably took, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes just thinking about it to come up with some ideas. And I'm like, man, like, I think there's a lot that you know, at least younger athletes kind of get wrong.
Yeah.
With training, and it's not their fault. You know, a lot of it's not their fault. You know, we'll kind of get into why I say that. But so I have a list here. Yours are a little bit more broad. It sounded like some of mine are a little bit more specific.
Is there one of these, again, I just wrote this down on a bill. Is there one of these that like you have a couple that would fit into that category and we start there?
I mean, we can start. I think my first one fits into that consistency one.
Of course it does for you.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, Alex used to have a website called Consistency.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I did at one point. Yeah, it's a big thing. You know what I mean? But what are your thoughts with that? When you write down or when you say consistency in training, like what are your thoughts?
And again, I'm coming from the private sector side of things, so just the lack of commitment at certain times of the year.
Yeah.
And just like, no, this is a year-round thing. I think we can get a little bit into in-season training and lack thereof there. But no, this is a year-round thing. It doesn't mean it's the only focus all times of the year, but it can't be something that you leave out at any point of the year. This has to be hey, we're talking a couple times a week, every month for several years.
Yeah.
And this is just how this process goes. You don't really get stronger. You can get stronger in a couple weeks. You can get faster in a couple weeks. But you're not going to see these huge improvements.
Yeah.
Especially if we're thinking high school from freshman year to senior year. Or even working with IU football, like the changes in some of these guys' like their body and their performance, their outputs. From freshman year as an 18-year-old to being 22 years old, like it's just different, and that doesn't happen with like an 8-week program.
Yeah. No, I agree with all that. I mean, you know, I see it a lot in like just in the high school setting. I see a lot of, you know, teams that will train for a couple months before the season. You know, 2-3 months before the season, which is cool. That's great. I'd love to have them in here, but they don't train for the next, you know, 8 to 9 months out of the year. And, you know, so kind of like you mentioned, it's a year-long thing. It's a marathon process that I think your consistency in training is one of the biggest things, one of the simplest things that you can control. And it has, you know, one of the biggest impacts on the results that you'll see from training. And so, as you mentioned, it should be something that's done year-round. Now, there should be different focal points on depending on at what point in the year you're at. You know, you don't always have to, it's not always a great time to try to get stronger or get faster or build muscle. But you should have some type of focused training going on year round, even if that's, you know, as simple as just trying to maintain whatever you've built up prior to the season. And so the consistency in training is, I mean, it's everything. You know what I mean? It brings me back a little bit to, you know, one of the things we talked about in the episode that we did on like what sets certain athletes apart. And one of the biggest things is just the kids that are consistent in training. You know, it makes a huge difference. It really does. Because, I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, right? If you take 3 to 4 to 5 months of training and you see progress, and then you don't train for the next 3 to 4 to 5 months, it's like, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're really just not going to make any long-term progress, which is really what being an athlete to me, one of the things that it comes down to.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It reminds me of like investing, putting money into the stock market, even having, Mr. Grotemat here years ago, where it's like the compounding interest. It's not
Yeah.
just the money that you're putting in, that's cool, but like that money being able to make money itself.
Yeah.
Or even like us with this whole thing, with social
Yeah.
media and stuff, like our first post, our first YouTube video, our first whatever, probably did crap, but like just and it's not like we're killing it now, but like the compounding effect of all of that, all the practice we've had with this or making videos or editing things or whatever, plus like the viewer count and just the building this anyway, but the compounding effect of it, and like the same thing for being consistent with training, like the work that you put in 2 years ago is what's going to show up in this game.
Yeah.
Like it's just everything compounds and builds on each other.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's 100%. You can relate it to a lot of different things.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Excuse me. These damn kids get me sick all
This
the
damn
time, man.
COVID. You heard him. He said
I might
COVID.
have
Well,
it.
we might have to bleep that.
I might. Okay. So my next one that I have, and this is a little bit more specific, but this is super common. You see it all the time. So I just have like focusing on your weight over your technique, right? And this goes a long way, especially at the high school setting, right? I think a lot of kids are super concerned with how much weight they can lift, like your bench, your squat, your deadlift, your clean, whatever it is. And they don't take the time to properly build up solid, good technique. You know what I mean? And especially, again, a lot of times it's hard for high schoolers to conceptualize how much time they really have, especially when they come in as freshmen. I'll tell them, if you're 14 and we have the next 4 years to train and get better and make progress, like we have over a fourth of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To make progress. Like we don't have to try to bench 225 in the next 10 weeks. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Not happening.
Yeah, probably not happening either. So the focus of, I enjoy lifting weights a little bit, and you kind of start to get, a little bit of ego involved, and you see other people maybe moving some big weights, and whether it's older kids or kids that are just naturally stronger, and they just tend to focus on, I just want to do as much weight as I can, even if, the technique's not there. So I see it a lot. It's something that I combat, every year, every semester. And just trying to explain to those kids, again, the idea of, like this is a marathon. This is a long-term process.
Yeah, because it is, as you were just talking about the ego piece and like, oh, he's doing this, I want to try to lift that much weight too. The competitive aspect's huge, very important.
Yes.
And I think that's a good thing. But again, like to your point of just not viewing it as such a long period of time.
Yeah.
Like we're not trying to take you from point A to point B in a semester. We're trying, like especially at the high school level, it's a 4-year process.
Yeah.
Just not viewing it in those terms, in that length of time, not understanding it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's hard for a high schooler,
It
because
is.
how much of our life as a high schooler was wrapped up in what happened today or what happened yesterday or how this, just little stuff.
Yeah.
And not understanding the bigger picture.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's definitely a fault of athletes,
Yeah.
not realizing how long of a period of time you have.
Yeah.
If we can just make your technique perfect now, and you just add 5-10 pounds every month on your lifts, which isn't even super, super important, but over the long term, like that'd be huge. Don't try to add 25,
Yeah.
50 pounds right now.
Yeah.
Wait, just keep stacking these days.
Yeah.
Keep being consistent. View it as a marathon.
Yeah. And I think, when you do take the time to build up that technique, sure, if you rush into something and you're using too much weight, obviously injuries can happen. So that's one thing of why it's important to focus on, learning proper technique. But really, especially at this age, like if you take the time to learn proper technique, like it's like riding a bike, you know what I mean? Like a lot of those movements, like if you really do ingrain that movement pattern in you, like you should be able to do that as long as you somewhat consistently do that movement, whether it's a squat, a pull up, a clean even. Like if you take the time to learn that stuff, like you should more or less be able to do that, long term, if you want to stay physically active, which you should obviously,
Yeah.
for the rest of your life.
And on the flip side, if you rush into exactly what you're saying, but just literally the other side of the coin, if you rush into putting on more weight without good technique, you're going to keep that pattern for the rest of your life as well.
Yeah.
Like it's just huge. It's huge to get it down right and take the time to do it right. Just doing it properly, getting reps at, a lower intensity weight, lower load will get you stronger.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So another one that I have that I'm kind of jumping around a little bit,
Please.
but this relates to this one kind of, is just not taking advantage of training at the high school age, right? Kind of like you mentioned a little bit earlier with the college example. It's the same thing with these high schoolers, like from 14 to 18 years old, like the changes that happen in your body and the hormones that you have flowing through your body, like if you don't take advantage of that period of time, like you miss out on so much potential progress and development, in just strength, technique, muscle, mobility, like all of that stuff. We have a friend that I thought of when I brought this up, Shauntis.
Okay.
I remember talking to Shauntis. I talked to him a decent amount about this, but Shauntis was a great athlete. Track runner, played football for a little bit, but track was his main thing. And I remember him just telling me multiple times how he was like, especially because he ran track in college as well. He was talking about when he got to college, how he realized how he messed up by dodging the weight room, all high school. Because like he, dealt with not significant injuries from what I remember, but just like the wear and tear of running track, like mid-distance, the wear and tear that comes with that, especially at the college level. He's like, man, I just wish I would have, like committed to the weight room when I was younger in high school.
Yeah.
Just to build up, muscle and strength and stuff like that, to be able to combat the stresses that you see of doing, of running track at a high level. So I think it's important to, and again, this is another thing that's hard for kids to conceptualize. You can't really zoom out and look at it. But as you grow up and kind of look back on it, it's like, man, like you can make a ton of progress. We talk about it all the time. Like you can do pretty much anything as a high schooler and still make progress. So I think not understanding and not taking advantage of the period of time from when you're 14 to 18 in high school, to train properly, consistently over a long period of time, I think is, those are years you'll never get back.
Yeah. As for all the things you already mentioned, especially from a hormonal standpoint, like just the things that happen to our bodies during that period of time.
Yeah.
And this isn't what you're saying, but just to preface my point, it's not to say doing it sooner is better. Like not strength training necessarily. You can make an argument for certain things, but it's not like you should be doing it at 8 or you should be doing it at 10. But like, yes, during that period of a high schooler with hormones and everything going on, it's such a great opportunity. Like you'll never have that going on with your body again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's the peak time to do it. Now some 14-year-olds come in here and it's like, oh, you haven't hit puberty yet. Like let's just, I don't know, in theory, let's just work on technique and like running around, be a kid and an athlete. But in my brain keeps going back to compounding interest in stocks now. But like the best time to purchase Amazon was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago. So like the earlier to some degree that you get in it, the better.
Yeah.
I think it was Keir Wenenflat, who I don't even think is a coach anymore, but the rugby strength coach. Okay. I heard it from him first, probably not his quote, but the best time to plant a tree is yesterday. The next best time is today.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you got to, especially during that window of opportunity, you got to start right away.
Yeah.
Because it's the compounding effect, again, is just huge.
Yeah. And you can see it in kids you can see the difference in kids that, train from, freshman year, sometimes even 7th and 8th grade year, train consistently from that point until their senior year. And the kids that, there's a lot of kids that don't really take it seriously until their junior or senior year, and you can see the difference.
It's gone. You missed it.
Yeah, you
missed it.
You missed a huge window. So that's another thing that I think high schoolers, younger athletes, kind of get wrong about training. What else did you have? I know I kind of mentioned a few of mine here.
Without looking down, it's kind of on this idea to some degree, but just focusing on lifting instead of doing the sprinting, the jumping, the med ball throws. There was Lauren Seagrave. It was a track coach, a sprints coach. He's been all over, but I remember him at IMG, and he had a presentation on like these certain windows of time where your nervous system is more likely to adapt to these things, like these certain years of age around peak height velocity, around puberty. And it's like, if you only focus on strength training again, strength training is good. You should be doing it. You should be doing it all year round, probably as soon as you start high school for most sports. But to only do that, to not sprint, to not jump, to not throw, to not do these high velocity, fast, twitchy, bouncy, elastic movements is also a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in college, so I'm done playing sports, and my uncle Mike is one of the biggest probably the biggest influence on me being a strength coach now. He brought me over to his house. We're watching football. He's a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
Yeah, huge dude, and that's cool as a young boy to see this big dude. And when I was in college, I'm only lifting. I'm at IU. At one point, I'm 200 pounds, and it's not all good weight, but I'm 175 now.
You got up to 200 when you were at IU?
Okay, so one year on Thanksgiving, I remember I was wearing a green Miami hoodie, and I was wearing khakis. So, I'm fully clothed and just ate Thanksgiving meal, and I weighed in at 200.8.
Damn.
So that's the only time, so I'm really 197 on
Yeah.
But anyway, he was giving me crap, joking with me, teasing me. He's like, you're not gonna be able to move. And this is coming from a bodybuilder whose goal is to maximize your muscle potential, as far as size. And he's like, you gotta move, you gotta run, you gotta go on a run. He's notorious for walking every day or riding his bike or whatever, even now in his 60s. But he's like, you can't just lift weights. You got, and that's coming from a bodybuilder, not talking to athletes.
Yeah.
It's as an athlete, your main thing is being an athlete, being explosive, sprinting, jumping, if it's a throwing sport, even if it's not a throwing sport, throwing med balls, whether it's up, whether it's slamming them down to the side, doing all different types of jumps, jumping ropes, skipping. There's so many other attributes that are equally, if not more important than lifting.
Yeah.
That you should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I had something like that on here. I have focusing too much on lifting and not enough on transferable skills. So your sprints, your jumps, your change of direction, things like that. I think a lot of times people don't realize, especially when they start to enjoy the weight room, I feel like a lot of athletes don't realize that the weight room is just a means to an end, right? These are just, we're not training to, see who can bench the most or squat the most or clean the most or do the most pull-ups, you know what I mean? And a lot of times the strongest person on the team is not the best player on the team, the majority of the time, I would argue. So I think that's something that, I missed when I was in high school. And I think a lot of it was just the training that we did. We sprinted and jumped and did stuff like that, but most of the stuff we did was lift. And and I never really got to the point where I was, you know, super athletic. I feel like, like yeah, I got relatively strong like during those times, but like I was never super fast, could never really jump super high, was never really good at change of direction type of thing, and I think a lot of it is because just most of the training we did was just like working out hard and lifting weights.
Yeah.
So I think looking at, truly what the goal is of your training when you're an athlete, like we're not training weightlifters or power lifters, like that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to get better at your sport and then improve your, your performance on the field or on the court or whatever sport it is. And you look at pretty much all sports, you're going to have to sprint, change direction, jump, and be able to handle the forces that come with that. And I think, a lot of times people just put too much emphasis on, they get too enveloped in the lifting process and what comes with it. Because, you start building muscle, you start looking bigger and feeling better, you get more confidence. Like, all that stuff's great, but, becoming more athletic and more explosive and faster and all of that stuff is really the main thing that's going to transfer, into your sport.
I was going to go there. Like, I understand why I understand why people still today, especially boys, fall in love with the weight room.
Yeah.
There's something about it, at least for some of us, that just feels good.
Yeah.
Lifting the weights and like that struggle and like to see that progress, it's fun. Your point, you see it in the mirror, and like you feel better. I remember being in class. This was freshman year, and this is block classes. It's like me, you, Saad, like Devin Hubbard was in there, like Robbie Esco, and we're like talking about, can you see my traps when you're sitting behind me? Like, can you see my traps through my shirt?
Yeah.
And like that was a cool thing.
Yeah.
And like there's confidence that comes with that. Joe Ken said it. I heard it from Joe Connolly when I was at Arizona State. The number one thing you build in the weight room is confidence.
Yeah.
It's like, I see it. And the third point to that is it's the easiest, I would argue it's still probably the easiest thing to measure. So how do I know if I don't have a strength coach or if I'm going to Max Fitness, after school and stuff, how do I know if I'm getting faster? I really don't.
Yeah.
Like we need lasers or we need someone with a stopwatch, and even then it can be iffy. How do I know if I'm jumping higher? Okay, well you need something. You can run up and try to jump and touch a certain thing and like, okay, 2 weeks from now I'm going to jump higher. A box is an okay measurement, but you could just get better hips and jump higher, or land on a higher box. So like the weight room, it's like, I did more push-ups than last time. I lifted heavier weight than last time. It's like, it's an easier thing to measure, but it doesn't mean it's the most important thing as far as transferability or what's important as an athlete.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. What else did you have?
What else did I have? Kind of on that note. So transferability and like, you want to get better at your sport. You want to be a better athlete. But that doesn't mean you should be doing sport-specific weight room stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing for athletes, because I definitely get athletes telling me, I know you have to get this. Like, but, Steph Curry does this, or I saw, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's doing this. It's like, I don't care. And that's not even necessarily sport-specific. But, like, shouldn't I be doing it like this because of what sport I play? Or, like, I never squat that low on a baseball diamond.
Yeah.
It's like you're thinking about it all wrong. And like, so I think that's a fault of an athlete, but I also think it's the fault of coaches too.
Yeah.
Sport coaches and strength coaches to think like, oh, this is more, we're going to do it at this angle, or we're only going to, because it's more sport specific. It's like, especially at the high school level, if you just have them do the Michael Yesis, a doctor, PhD, they came up with a 1x20 system. You do one set of an exercise for 20 reps. That's not sport specific to any anaerobic, power, explosive sport. But especially at the high school level, you have them do that and sprint and jump and throw, they're going to get better.
Yeah.
So it's not like you don't need bands and like you're swinging a baseball bat and a tennis racket. You don't need to do any of that dumb stuff.
Yeah.
If you just build general strength and you do other general sprinting, jumping, throwing, you'll probably get better at your sport. Almost 100% you're going to get better at your sport. And then when you're at like the peak of that mountain or that pyramid as like a professional athlete, then if we're doing some sports, okay, I can see that. But right now, no need.
Yeah.
No need yet.
Yeah, I agree. At the high school level, you know what I mean? Like the sports specific stuff is just, I mean, I understand why people think that and have that belief, but you know, I always think of it like your sports specific stuff is done at your sports practice.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not teaching you skills of your sport. You know what I mean? Like you said, we're trying to improve just general qualities, general strength qualities. So it's like, yeah, any sports specific stuff that you want to do is done with your sports coach. You know what I mean? It kind of relates to one thing I had on here that was like training. Like I put it as like training or letting like influencers or social media in general affect how you train or how you view training, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of it, you know, I didn't think so much along the lines of professional athletes, but you do see a lot of that. Like, oh, I saw so-and-so doing this. Like, and like you said, it's like, there's such a disconnect there of, okay, this person is, you know, an elite, one of the best in the world athletes, and we're here just like trying to bench 185.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Calm down, buddy.
Yeah, you know, it's like we're not anywhere near that point, you know. But it's also, I thought more of like, you know, I have kids all the time that come in and talk about, you know, different people that they follow online of like a Sam Sulik or, you know, people that come in and, you know, find these influencers that that are huge and look, you know, look how they want to look, and they think, oh, I need to train like that person, you know, which is almost always not a good idea. You know, again, like these people, not all of them, but a lot of them they don't play a sport. They're not athletes. They're training for just muscle and to look good and to sell more of whatever they're selling on social media, let alone everything that goes into, you know, the content that they post in terms of, you know, they post, you know, stuff after workouts and with great lighting and all that stuff. You know, that's a whole different discussion. But I think having or letting what you see on social media affect how you think you need to train, I think is a big thing that, you know, I see a lot of with just athletes, because, you know, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, especially at that age, like, oh, I see someone that looks like how I want to look, like I want to train like them. It's like, well, it's not about really how you look, it's about how you perform, right? So I think that kind of relates with kind of what you're saying.
100%. And your favorite influencer is probably on steroids.
Yes.
Not all of them, for sure not all of them. But man, a lot of them, I've heard people talk, I've heard Mike Israel, I don't know if he's on steroids or not. He's probably very public about it, and I just don't know. But I've heard him talk about like plastic surgeries,
I've heard him talk about that too. Yeah.
I've heard of Kelly Matthews, and both those people I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
I like the stuff they put out. This is not to criticize them as humans or the information they put out. If I was criticizing people, I probably wouldn't say their names. But I've heard her talk about having surgeries, or maybe not surgeries, but like injections and stuff done. Not steroids. She's been very clear about that. But yeah, Sam Sulik, I don't know, but probably on steroids.
Yeah.
And he's probably public about it as well, and I just don't know. But odds are your favorite influencer who looks unreal, it's probably because they're not just using their natural and God-given stuff.
Yes.
They got that Mexico stuff.
Yeah, hopefully not from Mexico. Holy shit, man. Yeah, no.
Balco.
Yeah. No, I think that's something that, you know, a lot of that is just, you know, the influence of social media on kids today. You know what I mean? Something else that you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier that we didn't really expand on, but I think not having a structured training program or not following a structured training program, and again, I mentioned earlier, some of this stuff is not the kid's fault. Sometimes they just don't have access to a quality coach that that has the knowledge and the experience to give them structured training. Sometimes you just got to deal with what you're given. But that's a big thing that not following a structured training program, or the guy that I mentioned yesterday that I was on the phone with, another strength coach that I was we talked about, just like he just recently got a high school job, and we were talking about just the high school setting in general, and he brought up, he'll have kids that will tell him like, oh yeah, like, I just work out on my own, like I don't work out, like, I won't be at team training sessions, and that's a whole different discussion. Like, that's top down, that's from the coach. If the coach allows that, you got a much bigger problem on your hands. But, seeing stuff like that, like I've heard it before, like, if a coach is not super strict on off-season workouts, I'll see a kid and give him crap for not, oh, where you been? I ain't seen you in forever. Oh, don't worry, I just work, I work out at the Y by myself. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you know what I mean? Like, that's better than not doing anything, but it's also like, I can almost guarantee you're going in there and just, oh, let's do this, this, and this. Yeah, bench pressing, curling, doing some pull-ups, and not having any long-term program to follow. I think, again, goes back to you have such a valuable opportunity in the years that you're in high school to take advantage of that stuff. Sure, going to the gym, you're gonna get stronger, you're gonna put on more muscle, but you can really accelerate the progress that you can make in those 4 years if you follow a legit, properly structured program.
Yeah. So similar, again, private sector side. I have people, hey man, where you been at?
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. I've been busy, but don't worry, I've been lifting at the Y. And like in my situation, it's a little bit different because I'm like, either the athletes I work with either don't lift at school. If I'm thinking just high school, they don't lift at school for whatever reason, or they're supplementing. They're lifting at school and they're coming here, and it's like, okay, we gotta be smart. That's why the majority of the stuff I do is sprinting, jumping, throwing.
Yeah.
But so I definitely get that. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, at least you're lift. For me, on the private sector side, it's like, I get it. I'm thinking more at the college level with all the transferring going on. It's like you haven't had consistency. Maybe you've been lifting for years or training for years, but your consistency in programming, your consistency in coaching feedback and how you should be moving and doing stuff, going from one coach to the next is just way off. At the professional level, going from off-season trainer to off-season trainer to off-season trainer, and they could all be amazing. They could all be the best of the best, but they're all doing different stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're just consistently with one coach, and if you're with a coach that's at the top, they're probably talking to other people too. If they can't get you better, they're asking someone else how to get you better. But to be with someone long-term who knows you, who understands, like has a big picture view of your program and what's going on, whether that's high school, college, or professional off-season level, I think is huge. I think it's a missed opportunity for a lot of athletes.
Yeah. No, I agree. What else do you have? I got like 2 or 3 left.
That was it. That was it. Bouncing from coach to coach was my last thing.
Okay. I got you. So, yeah, I got a couple left here. Let me see which one I want to do next because some of them are better. This kind of plays into some of the stuff we've already talked about. A lot of the athletes that I see that train for 3 months before the season and then don't train at all the rest of the year, they're playing the same sport all year round.
Oh, that's a big one.
Between high school, seasons and then club and, travel and whatever, we see it a lot. I see it a lot, man. And there's certain sports that I think are worse at. I think basketball is one of them. We got a lot of kids that only play basketball and play basketball year round. And a lot of those kids, can't understand why their knees always hurt and they always have ankle stuff going on and, sometimes stuff with their hips and why they're getting injured all the time. And it's hard to get the point across to them, because again, I can understand the logic behind, oh, if I just train this one sport year round and play this sport year round, like I'm gonna just gonna continue to get better and better and better and
Mm-hmm.
better at this sport. And sure, yeah, your skill is gonna go up, but there's something to be said about, you know, if I view the weight room and the strength training, strength conditioning stuff that we do as really, at the end of the day, we're just preparing your body for the stresses of your sport. You know what I mean? And if you train, if you do strength conditioning or athletic performance training for 3 months, and you play basketball or volleyball is another one that we see a lot, or even baseball, like soccer, there's a lot of clubs and stuff like that. Like all of those sports are guilty of it. 7-on-7 stuff with football, you can go on and on about all the opportunities that, kids have to play their one specific sport year round. But if you're not supplementing that with some type of, strength training or strength conditioning training, like it's a recipe for either injuries or burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two of the biggest ones that I think we'll see with the kids that do that. And there's a whole different discussion to talk about, just over specializing at an early age. But my main thing is like just playing the same sport year round and not consistently supplementing that with some type of training outside of your sport.
Yeah, yeah. All of that, even the specializing, early specialization, definitely like a fault or like a mistake athletes make at
Yeah.
times, some athletes. But yeah, I was happy you said basketball initially, and then you're like, man, and volleyball, and soccer, and baseball.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that's very true. And the company I work at, like private sector wise, we have clubs for all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's weird at a certain age. If you're 16 years old and it's like, hey, I'm only trying to go to college for volleyball, and I'm already talking to coach. Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You should be training, lifting still for all the benefits that come from that, from a sports standpoint, your output, but also from injuries, hopefully injury reduction standpoint as well. But like, we're working with a soccer club. We don't work with this age group, but there's a soccer club we're affiliated with that has like 10-year-old teams. It's like you're playing soccer year round at 10 years old.
Yeah.
AAU basketball is insane. Volleyball is right there, especially northern states like Indiana. Basketball, the indoor sports you're going to see it a lot. But it's like, you're 12.
Yeah.
What do you mean you just play baseball?
Yeah.
I'm just a pitcher. Like, you're 12.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't even given your body a shot to be good at something else.
Yeah.
It's like, that early specialization or playing your sport year round is definitely a common issue. At a certain age, I see it. I think it can make sense at 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe not even 15, somewhere in there. I see it and it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're a gymnast or I forget what the other sports where early specialization makes sense, okay, different. But if you're playing a common field sport or field or court sport and you're just playing that sport year round and you never give your body the chance to like really, there's times of the year where your sport is number one.
Yeah.
Late preseason and during the season, your sport is the main thing. This is just like, hopefully we can get in a couple times a week.
Yeah.
But there's times in the off season where it's like, no, we need to use this. We need to use the tools in this room to raise your ability to play your sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep working on skill stuff, again, at a certain age. But like, that's not the main thing right now.
Yeah.
We're using the weight room or we're using sprinting and jumping to get you better at your sport.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's another big missed opportunity for athletes.
Yeah, wrestling is another one that sometimes you can see, after the high school season, then I could be getting this wrong, but there's, different seasons. So it's like after high school ends, it's like you either go into like freestyle or Greco or, whatever it is. And, we've had kids in the past that are just wrestling. They just finished a 3-month long, grueling high school season, and a week later they're, traveling somewhere to go wrestle club or whatever it is, and they're and again, that's another sport that you not everybody that's involved in that does it, but there's a lot of kids that will just don't give their body time to rest and recover, especially after such a physical sport.
I don't think there's ever been a wrestler I've worked with at the field house that didn't wrestle for their school and wrestle for a club.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, this is all they do.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to show it's not just one or two sports. I mean, and I think a lot of it, goes into the fact that people recognize there is money to be made in club sports, and kind of taking advantage of, a parent's desire for their kid to be the best. You know what I mean? And trying to make money off of that.
Yeah, because it's even turned into, I think when we were still in high school, 7-on-7, I don't know. When we were in high school, it felt like 7-on-7 was bigger than it is now, but I could be wrong. But it was like, that's how you went to play college football, as if you did 7-on-7. Right now, and everyone acknowledges it, if you want to play college basketball, AAU is when you get recruited.
Yeah.
Like, talking to the high schoolers that I work with, like, season or playing for their school is more fun to some degree. They like the team environment. These are all your friends, and you're playing against rival schools, and your parents are always in the crowd. And, like, you got the student section. That's fun. AAU is like, hey, I'm trying to. I don't care if we really win.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go out there. I want to look good. I know Matt Painter's in the crowd, and, like, I want to get a scholarship.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's a different animal. And, to your point, I think it's because of money.
Yeah.
I think it's because of money.
Yeah, a lot of things boil down to that, doesn't it?
I was talking to CJ. He's reached out before about when to play around with the force plates. And I like, oh, yeah, okay. But we never, set something up. Obviously, I've reached out to him or talked to him on Instagram before. And he said something again.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, bro, let's set something up. Like, I'm available these times. He came by. And before we even started doing stuff, he was talking about club sports and AAU. And he's like, he was saying how it's all about money as well. He's like, I had to pay $45 to get into an AAU tournament.
Damn.
Like, to go watch.
To go watch?
To go
$45? What?
That was like, he said $45. I don't know if that's, field house. I don't know if that's like a big, I don't know.
What the hell?
I don't know if that's a standard. I don't know what volleyball tournaments are like. But, man, being at a facility that has 6, 8 basketball, volleyball courts, there's always stuff going on there. And, there's a need for that stuff. We're in Indiana. You're not playing basketball outside year round. You're not playing volleyball outside. You're going to miss 6 months out of the year to, do that.
Sure.
I don't know if you were going, but, I used to go to Spiece. I didn't play basketball, but I'd go to Spiece back in the day as a high schooler on winter break and play basketball for 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
That was fun. There's a need for these things, but, every night from 5 to 9 o'clock at night, there's sports going on those courts, whether it's one-on-one trainers, small group trainers, or club team practice. It's just, so you got paid to rent the court. This is the court's making money, the building's making money because you're paying money to rent the court.
Sure.
Well, as a coach, I'm not paying. You're going to pay. As the athlete or the parent, you're going to pay. I'm going to charge X amount of money because some of that's got to go to that.
Yeah.
It's just a big money grab.
$45 to watch AAU basketball?
What's it cost to go to a high school game? $6?
$7, I think.
There's $5 when back in the day. It makes sense. $7.
Bro, I better get a jersey. I better get my ankles taped.
I want pictures with whoever the best player is.
Bro, I need 40 minutes in whatever game I want to go play in, bro. $45 is crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. But again, it goes back to a lot of that stuff comes down to just making money, just trying to make money. You know? But yeah, that's a big one. You know what I mean? That I think we see a lot of. I think I have 2 left. The next one And this is something that I think is huge that a lot of people don't think of, is not emphasizing recovery enough.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think we're so focused on, you know, the work that we put in, how much work that we put in, and how hard we're working. And a lot of kids don't emphasize recovery enough. So when we say recovery, nutrition is a big one, hydration, sleep, mobility, all of that stuff. The sleep is a big one. Arguably, between nutrition and sleep are the two biggest ones, I would argue. You know, especially at that age, I mean, yeah, you feel like you can get, you know, 5-6 hours of sleep a night and be okay. But it's like, man, if you're really, truly working as hard as you can be and committed to the process of becoming a better athlete, like you need at least 8, if not 9 hours of sleep to let your body recover. And that's really where, I mean, your progress is made. You know what I mean? It's not in the hour and a half that you spend training. It's the other, you know, 22 and a half hours of what you do outside of that really is going to dictate how much progress you get from that hard training.
100%. Yeah. Notice you named 4 things: sleep, nutrition, hydration, mobility. You didn't say massage guns.
Yeah.
You didn't say everyone needs a cold plunge, especially a high school athlete. You need your cold plunge. You need to get a membership at the Y so you can get in the sauna. Like, didn't mention any of this stuff. It's like the big foundational pieces.
Yeah.
I heard Stan Efferding, the world's strongest bodybuilder, or at least former, talk about, he used to do like these 10-minute, he popularized like walking for 10 minutes, like after a meal. And he would like talk to the camera, just walking through the neighborhood and just rant. And he was talking about people asking him about, I think it was creatine. He's like, if you're not getting 8 hours of sleep, if you're not hitting whatever the goal is, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, if you're not drinking X amount of water per day, if you're not doing these foundational pieces, creatine's not doing anything for you. Like you're it doesn't matter. It is a waste. Like, crap, I forget where else I was going to go with that. But yeah, just some big foundational pieces that athletes need to make sure they hit.
Yeah, it's something, especially at the high school level, that I see a lot of.
Here's where I was going to go. You were saying the 22 and a half, 23 hours outside of training is when you actually get better, see improvements. And something teaching a motor learning class at Indiana Tech, I talked to them about is you actually get worse. You work out and you leave that workout and you're actually weaker. You're actually slower now that you did that workout. You're weaker. You have less endurance. Like every quality that you want to get better actually literally got worse. If I do as many push-ups as I can right now and then I rest for 5 minutes and I try to go again, I get less push-ups. If I run a mile as fast as I can or whatever I do this running workout and then I try to go and compete in this race, it's going to be worse than what I want. It's all of the sleep, nutrition, hydration, mobility, recovery stuff that get me so I'm better in the future. And this almost goes back to the compound interest. I don't know where my head's at with this today. But
it's that bill you wrote all your shit on.
Probably. But like it has to be a long-term goal. It can't be like I got to get faster today. You're going to get slower today. You're going to. It's just how it works. Like if you're not doing these other things, you'll never see this long-term progress.
Most of the kids that I've seen that are playing at a high level in college right now, you know, took their recovery like seriously, like took it into their own hands. You know what I mean? Like truly, like, you know, there were a lot of times where we would be in here and, you know, on Fridays after we stretched, you know, like, you know, give them 15, 20 minutes to go to the gym if they want, or they just hang out in here. But there's a few kids that would just go off on their own and do their own mobility stuff or do their own, like, stuff I didn't give them, stuff that they, you know, somebody gave them or they figured out or they saw online that works for them. You know, one of the kids, you know, talking to him, I think we talked about this previously, but college football player right now, and, you know, talking about how he, like, created his own, like, 5-10 minute mobility thing that he does, like, every night before he goes to bed. You know what I mean? And, like, again, that's if you truly want to be you know, the best that you can be, like those are things you have to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the kids that figure that out and commit to that, you know, a lot of times see the results from it, but most kids just will never get to that point, you know.
Yep.
And that kind of leads into my last one, kind of a little bit. The last one, this is a little bit more just general, if you will, but I think a lot of high school athletes, a lot of young athletes in general, don't truly know what hard work is. You know what I mean?
Man, I was going to wait for you to finish recovery, and I was like, all right, another one popped in my head from this talk. And then you went right into the next one. I was like, all right, I'll just bring it up at the end. But it's along this line.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Misunderstanding what working hard truly is. You know, I think kids just, if you've never, you know, been pushed, you know what I mean? Not all the way to your breaking point, but if you've never, like, you know, been part of a structured training program that, you know, some days are designed to, you know, push your upper limits of what you can do. I think a lot of kids think that they're working hard, but they're working out of a 10, they're working at a 5 or a 6.
And they don't even know
They have no idea.
They think it's hard.
Yeah, exactly. And they have no, and again, some of this is not their fault. You know, they've just never, you know, been a part of something that's going to push you to that point where you really realize what your potential is. But I think it's, you know, a big mistake of athletes and really coaches. You know, sometimes it falls on the coaches of not, you know, not realizing truly how much they're capable of and how hard they can actually work.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. It reminds me of Tony Holler and like, raise your hands.
Yeah.
Raise your hands as high as you can. We did it. And he's like, now raise them a little bit higher. And
Yeah.
we could, and
Yeah.
he could. It's like, you think you're working hard, and it's probably just not all the way there.
Yeah.
And where I was going to go with it is intent. So like, and it's along the same lines of truly working hard, but
Sure.
like the intent of what you're doing. Like, are you just running this sprint, or are you running as hard as you can? Are you trying to beat this other person? Are you trying to put up your best time possible? Are you just going through the motions, like, while lifting? You know how many times I've seen people, most often girls, lifting weights. I'm thinking of bench press, and they're talking to their spotter.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, well, you know, it's like, it's probably not heavy enough.
Yeah.
It's just probably not. And I'm not saying, I know you're not saying this either, that every workout should be a 10.
Sure.
Most workouts, you could make the argument no workout should be a 10.
Yeah.
Maybe. But like, if it's not stressful enough, there is no adaptation. This goes back to a talk we had, what feels like 6 months ago at this point.
Yeah.
But like, there has to be a stress level. There has to be something that leads to growth. You have to signal to your body. And yeah, the intent on what you're doing, focusing on, I'm perfect technique, or running as hard as you can, or lifting with maximum intensity.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, again, you'll get better.
Yeah.
You'll get stronger. You'll get faster, most likely. Like, everything will improve, especially you're in high school. You can go screw around with your friends and you get better. But if you really want those top % gains, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And again, to go back to the kids that I've seen that, you know, have the most success and get to the level that they truly say they want to get to, whether it's D1, D2, or just playing at the next level, like most, not all of them, but most of those kids, you know, understand what that means, what working hard truly means.
Mm-hmm.
And they are intentful with, you know, the work that they do. You know, regardless of, and I know we've talked about this before, but regardless of how they feel, regardless of how their day is going, like when they show up to train or to work out or whatever it is, like they're going to give it their all, you know what I mean? And regardless of what the workout is, like they're going to show up and put the work in to get to where they want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if that's just like trying to start on their high school team, you know, it's not always, you know, playing at the next level, but the kids that have the most success and see the most progress, you know, have intent and truly find their limit of what working hard is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, and kind of last thing for me, kind of on that note, and even thinking of like you bringing up like a well thought out like long term program, not bouncing around. Um, I was talking to my fiance about draft prep from last year, and just things that we're doing this year, from better initial evaluation from physical therapists and more integration with the physical therapist and better like on my end understanding of individual needs.
Sure.
There was some individualization last year, but like it was kind of more like gut. It was less. There were some metrics that we used, but a lot of it was just like, man, he runs like this. I need to do this, and now it's going to be more precise, more of like a sniper shot. I was like, man, it's a miracle that. And this is my initial thought. It's a miracle that the guys had the success that they had last year with improvements. And I was like, well, really, I think it was, I showed up pretty much every day at work, like nervous. I showed up every day kind of like worried and scared, like, oh, shoot, are they actually going to get better? Are we going to hit these numbers? Like, I mean, I was just stressed about it. And so every workout was like super intense. I'm like screaming. I'm like, just, I don't like the intensity I had and was trying to pull out of these athletes because I wasn't super confident and the training program was good. I'm happy with the stuff that we did. I just know it's going to get better.
Yeah.
But like because of that lack of confidence, I'm just like, we're squatting today and like I'm going to make sure you give it everything you have. Like that intent was there.
Yeah.
So even if the program isn't super perfect for you, even if it's not super individualized, it's not like the most optimal thing for you. If your intent on what you're doing, why you're doing it, and executing it at your best level, if that's there, you're going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I don't think that's necessarily, it's not all lack of confidence. I get what you're saying, but that's also just like passion and, you know what I mean? Just truly, wanting them to get better.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to see or hear about kind of what you guys do differently this year.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that a little bit. But I think that's a solid list of things that younger athletes get wrong about training. Like I said, we could talk about this for a long time, but gives some good insight into what we see from what a lot of athletes I think struggle with in terms of training at the age that they're at, and just give some good insight into maybe some things that coaches and athletes might be able to do a little bit better or focus more on rather than the stuff that they're focusing on now. So you got anything else, man?
I'm good.
Good to go? That was a good one. We'll keep knocking them out, and yeah, man, keep tuning in.